Have you ever heard of a car with an airplane-style propeller or a seatbelt that wraps around your neck? These bizarre ideas, believe it or not, were once real automotive features. Throughout the 20th century, the car industry produced some truly strange inventions, many of which were dangerously flawed, yet hailed as cutting edge at the time. From steering wheels that swung to the side, bench seats with no headrests, to brake systems made from asbestos, it's hard to believe these features were ever road legal. While many of these have disappeared, the hard lessons they taught remain and help shape the safety standards we rely on today. In this video, we'll explore 15 of the most dangerous car features ever made, why they were created, and why they ultimately vanished. And you might find yourself wondering, how did anyone think this was a good idea? Number 1. Neck seatbelts. In the 1960s, automakers explored a controversial idea to improve passenger safety: neck seatbelts. These belts were designed to reduce whiplash injuries by securing the head and neck during a crash. On paper, it sounded reasonable, but in reality, it was a disaster. In high-speed collisions, neck seatbelts often caused more harm than good. Instead of protecting passengers, they led to severe neck injuries, spinal damage, and in some cases, strangulation. The public quickly rejected the design, and unsurprisingly, it was abandoned shortly after initial trials. This failure pushed engineers to develop safer and more practical restraint systems. The breakthrough came with the invention of the three-point seatbelt by Volvo in 1959, which combined a lap and shoulder strap for better protection. By the late 1960s, this design became the global standard. Neck seatbelts serve as a stark reminder of a time when automakers were beginning to prioritize safety, but still fumbling through dangerous experiments in search of the right solution. Number 2. Propeller-driven cars. Between the 1930s and 1950s, some inventors dreamed of merging airplanes and automobiles, and the result was the propeller-driven car. Models like France's Helica and Italy's Air Auto P5C featured large, airplane-style propellers at the rear, pushing the vehicle forward like a flying machine. The idea sounded wild and futuristic, but in practice, it was downright dangerous. These high-speed spinning propellers were fully exposed, posing serious injury risks to pedestrians and passengers alike. A simple misstep or minor bump could turn fatal. On top of that, these cars were notoriously difficult to control, especially at low speeds, making them a hazard on public roads. A notable 1935 accident, severely injuring inventor Konstantinos Vos, served as a wake-up call. By the 1950s, the impracticality and danger of propeller cars led to their quiet disappearance from the automotive world. Number 3. Unsafe fuel tanks. When the Ford Pinto debuted in 1971, it was marketed as a compact, fuel-efficient car, an ideal choice for Americans facing the oil crisis. But behind its small frame was a deadly design flaw. The fuel tank was placed directly behind the rear axle, making it highly vulnerable in rear-end collisions. Numerous accidents resulted in catastrophic fires, with dozens of reported fatalities. What's more disturbing? Ford's internal crash tests had already revealed this danger, but the company continued production to cut costs. Public outrage and media scrutiny turned the Pinto into one of the biggest scandals in automotive history. In 1978, Ford was forced to recall 1.5 million Pintos and implement fuel system modifications. The fallout not only damaged Ford's reputation, but also reshaped how the auto industry approached vehicle safety. Number 4. Early airbag deployment. Airbags are now considered lifesavers in car crashes, but when they first debuted in the 1970s, they sparked more fear than confidence. Early airbag systems appeared in vehicles like the 1973 Chevrolet Impala and Oldsmobile Toronado, but the technology was still in its infancy. The biggest issue? These airbags deployed with excessive force, causing injuries to children, smaller adults, and anyone sitting close to the steering wheel. Reports included broken ribs, facial trauma, and in rare cases, fatalities from improperly timed deployments. Instead of protecting passengers, early airbags posed serious new risks. Public reaction was mixed. Many people were skeptical or outright afraid of the technology. It wasn't until the 1990s, when sensors and deployment systems improved significantly, that airbags became a trusted safety feature. By 1998, they were mandated in all new cars in the US. Number 5. Swingaway steering wheel. In the early 1960s, Ford introduced a unique feature on models like the Thunderbird, the swingaway steering wheel. The concept was simple, yet clever. When the car was in park, the steering wheel could swing to the side, making it easier for the driver to enter and exit the vehicle. In terms of convenience, it was a major plus, especially during an era of wide cars and bulky interiors that still made entry a challenge. However, the very mechanism that allowed the wheel to swing also introduced a serious safety risk. In rare cases, the steering wheel could become misaligned or jammed while driving, leading to sudden loss of control. While not responsible for many high-profile accidents, the potential danger was enough to erode driver confidence. Ford discontinued the swingaway system after just a few years. Number 6. Poor door latches. Today, a simple click when you shut a car door means it's secure. But in the mid-20th century, door latches weren't so reliable. From the 1940s through the 1960s, many vehicles, especially those from Ford and Chevrolet, used basic latch mechanisms that could either pop open or jam shut during accidents. The consequences were alarming. In some crashes, doors flew open, ejecting passengers. In others, the doors jammed, trapping people inside burning or sinking cars. Both scenarios posed life-threatening risks and sparked serious public concern. As automotive safety awareness grew in the 1970s, manufacturers began redesigning door latch systems. Features like multi-point latches, reinforced materials, and anti-burst mechanisms became standard. These innovations created a new safety benchmark, saving countless lives in the decades that followed. Number 7. T-top roofs. In the 1970s and 1980s, T-top roofs were the ultimate symbol of sporty flair. Featuring two removable glass panels that created a distinctive T shape, they offered a semi-convertible experience while retaining some of the rigidity of a hard top. But behind the cool design was a serious problem: structural weakness. Removing large sections of the roof to install T-tops compromised the vehicle's frame. In rollover accidents, this design flaw became critical, often leading to roof collapse and increased injury risk. Additionally, many T-top models suffered from water leaks, rattling noises, and high maintenance complexity. While stylish, they weren't exactly practical or safe for everyday driving. By the late 1980s, automakers began phasing out T-tops in favor of panoramic glass roofs and full convertibles, which provided both aesthetics and improved structural integrity. Number 8. Bench seats. From the 1940s through the 1980s, bench seats were the go-to seating style in most American cars. Spanning from one door to the other, these full-width seats allowed 3 people to sit up front, an iconic feature seen in classics like the Chevrolet Bel Air and Ford Galaxie 500. But that comfort came at a safety cost. Bench seats offered no lateral support, making it easy for passengers to slide or collide during sharp turns or sudden stops. The middle passenger, often without a shoulder belt, faced even greater risk of injury. As three-point seatbelts and airbags became standard, bench seats revealed a critical flaw. They weren't compatible with modern safety systems. By the 1980s, bucket seats started replacing them, offering better body support and minimizing injuries during accidents. Today, bench seats are virtually extinct in passenger cars, surviving only in a few pickup models and vintage vehicles. Number 9. Lack of headrests. Today, headrests are standard on virtually every car seat, but there was a time when they were considered a luxury. Prior to the 1970s, most cars, even upscale models like the Ford Galaxy and Chevy El Camino, lacked headrests. Many believed they were aesthetic add-ons or unnecessary cost bumps. But as rear-end collisions became more common, a hidden danger emerged. Without headrests, occupants' heads snapped backward violently, causing neck injuries known as whiplash. This injury was especially prevalent among drivers and rear seat passengers, frequent, painful, and often underestimated. Volvo led the way in 1968 by making headrests standard, backed by studies showing a 5 to 10% reduction in neck injuries. By 1969, headrests became mandatory in several countries, setting a new standard for occupant safety. The lack of headrests, once seen as a minor omission, proved to be a major safety flaw. Number 10. Non-collapsible steering column. In the early days of the automobile, the steering column was a long, rigid metal shaft that connected the wheel directly to the front axle. It was simple, solid, and efficient. But in a crash, it turned into a deadly spear aimed straight at the driver's chest. From the Ford Model T to popular cars of the 1950s and 60s, non-collapsible steering columns were the norm. In a frontal collision, the rigid column offered no energy absorption and could impale the driver with catastrophic force. Countless injuries and fatalities were linked to this seemingly harmless design. As automotive safety gained momentum in the 1960s, US regulations stepped in. Starting in 1967, all new vehicles were required to feature collapsible steering columns. Chevrolet was among the first to adopt the design, which absorbed impact energy and significantly reduced driver injuries. Number 11. Dangerous hood ornaments. Once symbols of elegance and prestige, metal hood ornaments were proudly mounted on cars from the 1930s through the 1960s. Iconic designs like Rolls-Royce's Spirit of Ecstasy or the Leaping Jaguar became unmistakable emblems of automotive luxury and identity. But their beauty came with a hidden danger. They were solid metal structures jutting out from the hood, sharp, rigid, and hazardous. In pedestrian accidents, these ornaments could cause deep lacerations, serious injuries, or even fatalities. As traffic density increased and urban collisions became more common, the risk posed by hood ornaments gained attention. Public pressure and growing safety concerns led many automakers to revise their designs, introducing retractable emblems, softer materials, or eliminating them altogether. By the late 1960s, traditional metal hood ornaments were largely phased out from new vehicles. Number 12. Asbestos brake pads. For decades, asbestos was hailed as a miracle material, especially in the world of brake pads. Beginning in the early 20th century, major automakers like Ford, GM, Chrysler, and Bendix widely adopted asbestos for its exceptional heat resistance and durability. Initially, it seemed like a breakthrough. Asbestos brake pads provided strong stopping power, resisted wear, and performed well under repeated braking without fading. But what no one anticipated was the hidden danger. The fine dust released during braking was highly carcinogenic. As medical studies linked asbestos exposure to asbestosis and mesothelioma, the auto industry faced a health crisis. Factory workers, mechanics, and even drivers were at risk of inhaling toxic particles every time brakes were applied or serviced. Under mounting legal and public pressure, manufacturers began phasing out asbestos brake pads in the 1980s. By the early 1990s, their use was nearly eliminated across the industry. Number 13. Lap-only seat belts. Before the three-point seat belt became the norm, many vehicles, especially in the 1950s and 1960s, were equipped with lap-only seat belts. These belts secured only the lower body, offering no support for the chest or head. Initially, lap belts were seen as a major improvement over having no restraint at all. But crash studies soon revealed a grim truth. During high-impact collisions, the upper body could lurch forward violently, causing severe internal injuries, spinal trauma, and abdominal damage. Children and middle-seat passengers, who often only had access to lap belts, were especially vulnerable. Mounting concern from the medical community and traffic safety advocates pressured the auto industry to rethink restraint systems. This led to the development of the three-point seat belt. Pioneered by Volvo in 1959 and widely adopted by the 1970s, it provided full-body restraint and dramatically reduced injury risk. Number 14. Absence of crumple zones. Before the 1950s, cars were built with rigid, solid frames, a design philosophy rooted in the belief that stronger means safer. But in reality, that meant all crash energy was transferred directly into the cabin, where the occupants sat. Without crumple zones, vehicles lacked the ability to absorb impact forces, leaving passengers to endure the full brunt of a collision. A car might look structurally intact after a crash, but its passengers could suffer fatal injuries from the sheer force. In 1952, Austrian-Hungarian engineer Béla Barényi introduced the revolutionary concept of crumple zones. His idea: design specific front and rear sections of the car to deform and absorb energy while keeping the central passenger cell intact. Mercedes-Benz became the first to implement this with the W111 in 1959. At first, some feared that crumpling a car made it more dangerous, but crash testing proved the opposite. Crumple zones became a global safety standard, and they're one of the key reasons modern cars save far more lives in accidents. Number 15. Water balloon bumpers. In the 1970s, amid growing safety concerns, a strange invention rolled onto the scene. Water balloon bumpers, essentially liquid-filled chambers mounted to the front and rear of vehicles. Developed by engineer John Rich, the idea was that water could absorb crash energy more effectively than rigid metal. These bumpers contained compartments filled with water or hydraulic fluid. During a collision, the liquid would disperse the impact force, reducing damage to the vehicle and injuries to passengers. Taxi fleets in cities like New York and San Francisco, and even some police departments, experimented with the system. However, in real-world use, water bumpers often failed. They leaked, cracked, and provided inconsistent protection during high-speed impacts. In cold weather, the liquid could freeze, further reducing their effectiveness. Public skepticism and the rise of better materials like rubber and energy-absorbing foam soon rendered the idea obsolete. From neck-wrapping seat belts to propeller-powered cars, the features you've just seen aren't just engineering missteps. They're milestones in the evolution of automotive safety. Without these failures, we wouldn't have the incredibly safe vehicles we often take for granted today. Every component in a car, from the steering wheel to the bumpers, has a backstory and sometimes a costly lesson measured in human lives. So, out of these 15 dangerous features, which one do you think was the wildest? Let us know in the comments. And if you love uncovering strange stories and forgotten mistakes from automotive history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating content ahead.